Okay, in problem number 60, how do you see it? The circle graph shows the results of a survey of registered voters the day of an election. So, for example, 47% in the light blue are registered Democratic, 42% in the pink are Republican, Libertarian in the yellow 5%, green in the green 2%, and other in the purple 4%. But then it says that the percent error is plus or minus 2%, which just means that we don't know the exact numbers, but they could be, for each category, higher by 2 or lower by 2. So the error given in the graph means that the actual percent could be 2% more or 2% less than the percent reported by the survey. So letter A. What are the minimum and maximum percents of voters who could vote Republican and who could vote green? So we'll answer the Republican question first. So the first one is Republican, and remember in the graph here it shows that Republicans were at 42%. But we know the percent error is plus or minus 2, so it could actually be 40 up down to 40 and up to 44. So I'll make a number line, and it could go from 40 up to 44 with our center at 42, and that would give us a distance of 2 away from the center on both sides. And the second part, B, is going to say how can you use absolute value equations to represent your answers in part A. So we'll just go ahead and do that part right now. So we would have x minus the center, absolute value of x minus the center equals the distance from the center. So the absolute value equation that could represent the minimum and maximum percents of voters who could vote Republican are given there. Next, green. All right, so green in the graph says 2%. But again, we know that it could be 2% less than that because the percent error is plus or minus 2. So it could go down to 0 or it could be as high as 4. Now we know that it can't be less than 0. But it could go down to 0, be as high as 4. We know that our center is 2 for the green, and once again the distance will be 2 units. In these cases the distance are always going to be 2 units away. So absolute value of x minus the center equals the distance from the center. So this is part A, and part B we have the minimum and maximum percents of voters who could vote Republican or green, and we've used absolute value equations to represent those answers in part A. Now one candidate receives 44% of the vote. Which party does the candidate belong to? Well, we know right away that it could not be Libertarian, green, or other. We're talking about someone who the candidate is either a Democrat or a Republican. So if they got exactly 44%, we know that the Democrats, for example, if we were to go ahead and represent them, Democrat, and these are the voters, so we assume that the candidate of that party gets that party's vote, which may or may not be true in actuality. Democrats have a center of 47 with a percent error of 2, so it could go down to 45, could go up to 49 with our distance of 2, and the equation for the Democrats would be absolute value of x minus 47 is equal to 2. Now, if this candidate got exactly 44% of the vote, and we assume that only the voters from that party voted for him, then that person would have to be from the Republican Party. As you can see up here, 44 is included in the Republican interval, but it's not included in the Democrat. So, since 44% is only included in the Republican interval. Now again, we didn't try the Libertarian or the other, but because they're so far away from 44, we assume that they could not have, or we know that 44% would be way beyond them. And we've shown that it's not included in the Democrat, but it is in the Republican. So since 44% is only included in the Republican interval, the candidate must be Republican. And that does it for this